Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto x Ino x Hinata x Hanabi, A Tale of Two Sisters Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Konoha, known as the village hidden in the leaf, is home to many powerful shinobi clans and living in relative peace. As one of the 5 big villages, it provides stability to the surrounding countries and sends its shinobi on missions in all directions, accepting requests from nearly everyone who can afford it. One of the more powerful clans within Konoha is the Hyuga clan. A clan that holds its old traditions high and whose members are strong in close-quarter fighting. Mainly thanks to a strong visual bloodline and a unique fighting style that enables them to inflict damage to their opponents' internal organs. The current clan head, known as Hiyashi Hyuga, has 2 daughters, both potential heiresses. The older one, Hinata, is a kind-hearted and somewhat shy girl. Always caring for the people close to her. Having short black hair with a purple sheen to it and pale white eyes, one of the features unique to this clan because of their bloodline, made her look cute, which was supported by her shyness. Currently she is 7 years old and has started training, supported by her family, 2 years ago. Her goal is to enter the Ninja Academy in 2 years and to become a kunoichi. Her sister, Hanabi, has dark brownish hair that is slowly growing long and sports the same eyes as her sister. She is 2 years younger and recently started to train as well, having the same goals as her sister. That and both of them wanted to please their father, to become heiresses worthy to lead the clan, to make him proud after their mother died. Hanabi had no memories about her, Hinata's were blurry as best. Hinata, always thinking about others first, was worried that her younger sister would have a hard time in this cruel world they lived in. That's why she decided to help her grow, to support her, to give her a reason to become stronger, to survive. Having overheard some of the adult members of the clan talking, but actually not really knowing anything about it beside what she heard, she approached her younger sister with a bet. The first to win 10 times in a row during their sparring sessions would win the bet. The loser would have to become the winner's slave. Initially, the more outgoing Hanabi was surprised by her sister's offer. It was the very first time that she saw her sister offering or taking a bet at all, and even Hinata herself was surprised that she found the courage to actually do so. Not knowing anything about it either, but suddenly seeing an additional reason to train and become strong, Hanabi quickly agreed. At that point, neither of them was aware of what they had started, of what they agreed on, nor what it would mean for their future. In the beginning their spars were pretty even. One day Hinata would win, the next day Hanabi. Neither of them was giving any thought to being equally matched. Despite the fact that Hanabi was 2 years younger and had started to train only recently. And so it went on for a few weeks. Until Hanabi started to improve, making it increasingly more difficult for her sister to keep up. Easily earning winning streaks of up to 5 before Hinata managed to get a win in. This fact started to worry Hinata, because she never thought that any of them would get a shot at winning their bet. But as it stood, Hanabi improved quickly, displaying quite the talent for hand-to-hand combat. Hanabi on the other side was determined to win the bet, to show her sister that she was able to become even stronger than her. She loved her sister deeply, but as with most siblings, the younger aimed to overcome the older one. And she was steadily getting closer to reaching her goal. It went on like that for a few more weeks, until one day, around 2 months after they agreed on the bet. It was close to noon on a sunny Saturday. Hanabi stood over her panting sister, her small and slim body throwing a shadow on her beaten form. She couldn't really grasp the situation, being uncertain if it really just happened, if she counted right. She tilted her head to the side, a combination of pride and confusion within her voice. You okay, sis? She asked worried, having hit her sister straight into the stomach with her last punch. Yeah, Hinata replied panting with a small nod. Just, out of breath, a small smile entered her face. You improved fast. It's really impressive, you know. I did it, right? Hanabi asked carefully. That was the 10th win, wasn't it? At least in my count. Yes, it was. The older replied, trying to calm her body down by taking deep breaths after their intense sparring session. So, Hanabi started, uncertain how to word it. What do we do now? I mean, you are my sister, right? It was then that a small blush entered her face when she admitted the next thing. And, what is a slave supposed to do anyway? I don't know anything about that. Well, Hinata started, touching her lower lip in thought. All I know is what I heard some of the adults talk about. A slave must listen to, and follow the orders of their master or mistress. That's all I know. She shrugged slightly. I see. Well, I would say we go get something to eat first. A smile was on Hanabi's lips when she offered her hand to her older sister to help her up. Gratefully taking the offered hand, Hinata got up from the ground and followed her sister towards the kitchen where they intended to get something light for lunch. So from now on she was her younger sister's slave. If she had to be honest, she wasn't afraid of that thought. In fact, she was curious to learn what this actually meant. But there was one thing she knew for sure. She wouldn't back out from her bet. As a clan holding tightly to their traditions, having a statement in their clan rules to always uphold a promise, which by extension also covered a bet, she was determined to act in accordance to them. Hanabi was in thought while they walked. She just won her older sister as a slave for life. That had to be useful for something. For what, however, she didn't know right now. That was something, together with finding out what it meant to be a slave or to own a slave, they had to learn along the way while growing up. Though there was no need to hurry anyway, they were young, they had all the time they needed. A Tale of Two Sisters. Prologue, original version, if you want to compare or are interested in how my writing started. Once the younger sister reached the age that she could spar with her older sister, did something occur. To be precise, did the older sister, who knew that they were living in a dangerous world, offer her younger sister a bet. Whoever of them who would lose 10 times in a row against the other sister would lose. This bet had two goals the older sister wanted to achieve. Firstly, did she want to scare her younger sister by raising the ante that high? And secondly, did she want to motivate her younger sister in becoming stronger, that she wouldn't suffer any bad fate in this world they lived in? After all, was she a very caring girl when it came to the people close to her? The bet said, whoever would lose 10 times in a row against the other would become her sister's slave. The first goal of this bet was reached right away, cause the younger sister was scared. But in the end accepted the bet. The older sister, however, didn't consider two things: that her younger sister might be stronger than herself and what being a slave might include. Being honest, did she just recently hear about slaves and slavery, without having any additional knowledge about these things? All she knew was that the slave will have to listen to their master or mistress. The older sister was 7 years young and currently attending the pre-academy in the village they lived in, Konoha, the village hidden in the leaf. She got short black, purplish hair and pale white eyes while being pretty shy by nature. That she offered the bet in the first place actually surprised both sisters. The older one for finding the courage to do so, that it was her younger sister helped though, and the younger one because that's the first time she saw her sister making a bet at all. The younger sister was 5 years old and recently began sparring with her older sister, in preparation for pre-academy she would enter soon, and of course for the ninja academy and basically her whole life later on. Her hair was raven black and was slowly growing long, her eyes the same pale white than her sister's. Her personality was more outgoing than her sister's, but she was a bit naive and spoiled, being this young and the second daughter of the clan head. They sparred on a daily basis and the results were pretty even. One day would the older win, the other day the younger. A winning streak of 3 was the highest between them during the first few weeks. Soon, however, did the younger sister improve quite a bit and was able to get winning streaks of up to 7, before her older sister was able to beat her. She seemed to be very talented when it came to hand combat, and the older sister began worrying. After all, did she never thought that any of them would win the bet? She basically just made it to scare and motivate her sister and planned to lose a match on purpose whenever her winning streak became too high. But her younger sister got better every day and she had trouble keeping up with her. It was only a matter of time before she would lose the bet she made with her sister. And she had no idea what it would mean to be a slave to her, or in general. Her younger sister didn't know either, though, what it would be like to own a slave. That would be something she needed to learn over the years while growing up. And then, one day after a few months of sparring between the two, Hanabi Hyuga, age 5, stand above her panting sister Hinata, who lay down in the dirt, beaten for the 10th time in a row by her younger sister. She mustered her sister with happiness and confusion in her eyes. Happy for having won the bet of her older sister, confused of what it actually meant to own her older sister as a slave and what that meant for the future. Hinata on the other side was worried. She never thought she would lose the bet she made with Hanabi. Now would she become her slave, and she really didn't knew what to expect from now on or what her sister would do. After all, they were just children of the ages of 5 and 7 at this moment. However, a bet was a bet, and according to their clan's code of honor was a bet the same as a promise. You will never break it. Are you alright, sis? Asked a worried Hanabi, watching her beaten sister who was still out of breath. Yeah, I think I am. Just tired. You really improved fast. Hanabi smiled over this compliment by her sister. She looked up to her older sister after all, and a praise just made her happy. Well, I won the 10th time in a row now, didn't I? The questioning tone in her voice clearly hearable, 'cause she couldn't really believe that she reached the goal. Hinata looked up to her and nodded. Yes, you did. Guess I lost our bet now. Which means I will be your slave from now on, Hanabi. Hanabi nodded slowly before starting to speak. That's what we agreed on, yes. But, what do we do now? You are my sister. What is a slave doing anyway? She blushed slightly since she didn't knew about slaves. Hinata on the other side touched her lower lip, thinking about that topic. Well, I'm not too sure about it either. I only heard some adults talking about slaves when I was passing by, and I only know that they have to listen to their master or mistress. Hanabi nodded slightly and let this information sink into her mind while helping her sister up, walking together into the kitchen to eat something. She just earned her older sister as a slave, that had to be good for something. Figuring out for what, however, would prove to be difficult. But they were young, they had time. Not much had changed yet between Hinata and her younger sister after she became her slave. After all, were they just two young, innocent girls who didn't really knew what they agreed on when they made this bet? They were always close to each other before and spent most of their time together, and this continued. Though Hanabi found it quite nice to have someone trusted who she could always talk to, no matter what topic, and that she could now tell her sister to accompany her whenever she left their clan compound, which basically was one of the biggest changes so far. That's because of the shy personality of her older sister, which she often used as an excuse to not go out and stay at home. One more thing Hanabi could become used to was the fact that she could tell her sister now to do the house chores she had to do, though it was rare that she did. Only if she really wasn't in the mood to do the chores herself. 2 weeks had passed since Hinata lost the bet. It was another of Hanabi's free days and she was going to play in the city and visit a few of her favorite places. She became used to her sister's company outside the compound and liked it having her around. So she walked to her sister's room in the morning to tell her to get along today as well. Once she reached her sister's room did she barge in without knocking, like she always does, to run into the sight of Hinata currently getting dressed. Hinata just finished putting on a pair of simple gray trousers when she heard the door opening and turned around with an eep, holding her hands over her slowly growing, currently something slightly below an A- cup, but still not really noticeable to hide them. Can't you just knock? Hanabi. Her face was beet red, partially out of anger, but primary of embarrassment. Oh, common sis, it's not like we haven't seen each other before. Hanabi giggled. She kinda liked to tease her older sister cause she just loved her reactions. Having a shy sister might have some perks, after all. But it's still embarrassing. Hinata started stuttering to the situation. She didn't have much courage, if at all, and was pretty self-conscious when it came to her own body. In fact, was she afraid of growing older, when her would start becoming noticeable by others. She knew this could happen quite quick from just one day to the next. But she was prepared for that, already having bought a large light brown jacket which would hide everything, once zipped up. Hanabi leant in the doorframe still looking at Hinata, before sighing. Don't just stand there and get dressed already. Wanna go into the village and want you to join me again today. Hinata nodded slightly, reaching for her bra and slight lavender-colored shirt to get dressed before following Hanabi out of her room. Where do you want to go today, Hanabi? She so wanted to stay at home, but having lost the bet with her younger sister, and she's family, after all. Also nice company, so it wasn't too bad. But still, oh, I'm not completely sure yet. Was thinking of going to play in the park, maybe visiting this flower shop with the cute girl, then eating something. After that, Hanabi touched her lower lip, thinking what else she wanted to do, while Hinata let out a quiet sigh. This was going to be a long day for her. Their first stop was at the Yamanaka flower shop. This early in the morning were there rarely any customers, but the flower shop still opened that early. Hanabi asked the owners once about it and they told her it would be out of habit. However, knowing that nobody would visit the shop that early did they usually left it to their daughter to watch over it the first hour of the day. Ino Yamanaka was a cute young girl of 7 years with platinum blonde hair put into a ponytail, with some strands covering one of her pale blue eyes, and she totally loved flowers, so she didn't mind watching the shop for her parents at all. Seeing Hanabi entering the shop made her smile, waving to her excited. Hey, Hanabi-chan. Long time no see. Wanna chat a little? Or shall I show you our new flowers? Oh, is this your sister? Ino started speaking right away without letting any of the sisters answer. Hanabi couldn't help but giggle. She really liked this girl being super active and, more importantly, always knowing the newest gossip. It was real fun talking to her. Hinata on the other side felt uneasy, putting her index fingers together and watching the floor in front of her feet. It's the first time she met Ino and she was overwhelmed by her presence right away. She was the total opposite of the shy Hinata. A bit of all, I guess. Hanabi, still giggling, pointed at Hinata. And yes, this is my older sis, Hinata. She is giving me company when going outside for 2 weeks now. It's nice to have her around. But we really need to work on her shyness. Her voice trailed slightly into a worrying tune, but just for a short second. So, what's new in the village? Any cute boys out of reach by now? Hanabi smiled at Ino while Hinata slightly blushed. Are they really going to talk about boys? It's not like she wasn't interested in boys. In fact, had she her eyes on one special boy since one specific incident she hadn't told anyone about yet. But seeing her sister and this Ino girl starting to talk about boys without any care was kinda too much for her. What if they would talk about the one boy she is interested in? Would she raise her voice to defend him? Or would she stay quiet? She didn't know. Ino was showing Hanabi around the shop, pointing to the one or other new flower they got, while they gossiped about the boys of the village. And just as usual as Shikamaru a lazy, always talking about everything being too troublesome. Ino was just reaching her all-time topic, the lazy boy Shikamaru Nara, which she knew since forever, being childhood friends from the very beginning. Hanabi giggled, knowing that she had to interrupt Ino before she got too worked up about Shikamaru. You know that you always tell the same things about Shikamaru. What about the other boys your age? I lately saw this animalistic one with his little puppy. I so wanted to pet it. Ino was looking at Hanabi, grinning slightly. The boy or the puppy? She stuck her tongue out at the slightly blushing Hanabi. Well, that's Kiba Inuzuka and his pup Akamaru. Pretty loudmouthed if you ask me, and really rude. No manners at all. I even heard that he lately started pranking a few people. Think he wants to copy this blonde orphan, for whatever reason. That got Hinata's attention. Pranks? Blonde? Orphan? Wait, he was an orphan? That was news to her. But they were really starting to talk about the boy she is interested in. She gathered all her courage to interrupt the conversation of her sister and Ino. This blonde boy, what's his NN name? Of course, she had to stutter. Ino was caught a little off guard by the shy Hinata entering the conversation, but turned to face her. Well, Naruto Uzumaki, from what I hear. Always running around, troubling the villagers and ninja alike, pulling one prank after another. If you ask me, is he a real troublemaker and not worth thinking about? Hinata became sad by Ino's words, watching down to the ground. How could the one interesting boy be such a bad person? He couldn't, could he? She went silent again. Hanabi and Ino continued gossiping about boys and other topics before Hanabi left the flower shop, grabbing her sister's hand and pulling her out. It turned out that they stayed nearly the complete morning with Ino and it was nearly time for lunch. Hanabi aimed for one of her favorite restaurants and ordered something for her and her sister, before sitting at a table outside, watching the more than usual quiet Hinata, before sighing. Common sis, what's the matter? You are even more quiet than normal. Talk to me, hello. She was waving her hand before Hinata's eyes, trying to catch her attention. It's nothing. Hinata looked away. Hanabi sighed again. It's not nothing, sis. Common, talk to me. I saw that you looked sad when Ino talked about this blonde troublemaker, and since then are you way too quiet, even for yourself. So now tell me, what's wrong? She was totally worried, hoping her sister would react. Seeing Hinata sad hurt Hanabi as well. After all, could they speak about everything, and Hinata knew that. Hinata stayed quiet for a few more minutes and Hanabi was starting to lose her patience, thinking about a way to make her sister talk. A sly smile entered her face. Listen sis, if you won't talk to me, will I simply tell you to do so. After all, are you my? She never managed to finish this sentence cause Hinata got beet red and shouted at her sister. No, don't say it. Quite a few heads turned in their direction, making Hinata blush even more. Okay, I'll tell you. But promise you won't tell anyone. When Hanabi nodded, did she inhale deeply, calming down a little. It was around 2 years ago. I was bullied by some boys of the village. Her stuttering came slowly back, since she was afraid and embarrassed talking about this topic. They punched me, threw me to the GG ground. I don't know what they wanted to do to me, and Then, this BBL blonde boy appeared, SS saving me. Hinata's voice dropped quieter and quieter. Her last words were nearly whispered when her eyes spotted a blonde boy walking down the street nearby, making her faint on the spot. Hanabi jumped up and ran around the table to her sister. Hey, sis. Sis. Wake up. Don't you dare faint on me. Sis. She started slapping Hinata's cheek, but it didn't help. Several heads turned their direction again, including one blonde boy, who just shrugged to the commotion in the restaurant and walked on. Some minutes later did Hinata slowly open her eyes, looking into the worried face of her sister, not sure what exactly happened at all. Hey sis, you okay? Talk to me. She wasn't just looking worried, but it was also noticeable in her voice. Why yeah, I'm fine, I guess. Hinata rubbed her head, her eyes still slightly blurred. She really didn't know what just happened to her. She was telling her sister about the incident 2 years ago and then, she wasn't sure. Her eyes catched something yellow in their corner and the next thing she remembered was her younger sister's worried face. You should go home and get some rest, sis. Just hope you aren't sick or something. Fainting out of nowhere on me. Never do that again, understood? Hanabi was close to tears. Hinata put her hand on her sister's cheek, stroking it slightly and nodded. Okay, Hanabi-chan. I'll go home. But stay out of trouble without me around. Promise. Hanabi nodded, watching her sister leave, still sitting at the table, the food completely forgotten, thinking about what her sister told her, why she might have fainted, and what to do now. Later that day, Hanabi was walking through the streets of Konoha, searching for a specific blonde boy. She thought it couldn't be that hard to find him, but quickly learned otherwise. Each time she asked someone if they knew where to find this boy was she confronted with hate, told to stay away from this demon child. Some even called her a demon lover just because she was looking for the boy. And one man even tried to slap her face for asking about the boy. Hanabi reacted quickly seeing his hand rise by stepping back and covering her face. However, the punch never reached her cause some bystanders held the man back, realizing that he was about to attack the second daughter of the Hyuga clan head. Something that would end badly for everyone involved. These things however made her think. She couldn't understand why the villagers would call this boy a demon. Sure, it wasn't a nice thing to be on the receiving end of a prank, that was for sure. But to call someone a demon because of that was way too far-fetched. While still deep within thoughts did she reach the outskirts of the park, seeing a blonde boy slowly walk away from it out of the corners of her eyes. Thinking that she found the boy she was looking for she gave chase, shouting out to him, "Hey! Wait up! Naruto!" Leaving the park for his home after all adults insulted him again, tried to beat him, told their children to stay away from him, didn't really react to the shout. After all, nobody was interested in him, so would nobody want for him to wait? This girl must be after someone else. He was a bit surprised, shocked and angry, when he suddenly felt someone pulling him back on his shirt, turning around ready to shout, to see a girl younger than himself panting hard, still holding his shirt. He wasn't sure how to react, and gave his usual words, "I haven't done anything, just let me be." He tried to pull away but the girl didn't want to let go of him. He started to become mad at the girl, realizing that it was the same girl shouting at her fainted sister in the restaurant. "Listen, I haven't done anything for your sister to faint. I was just walking by. Now let go of me." He wasn't violent, but if this girl wouldn't let go of him, well, anything might happen. Feeling that the boy was upset did Hanabi finally let go of his shirt, looking up into his face did she notice his whisker marks for the first time. They look so cute. She giggled slightly, reaching up to touch his cheek, only for the blonde to pull away, looking angry at her. "I don't know what you want, but just leave me alone. I'm in no mood for your games. I'm sick of being tricked and beaten all the time. Hanabi was slightly shocked by the boy's words, watching as he turned around, grabbing his shirt again. I just wanted to talk to you. Don't just go away. Naruto turning around again saw her pleading eyes, sighing. Okay, fine, then talk. But if I feel like you want to trick or harm me, am I gone? Hanabi nodded slightly, a bit confused by this boy. Why was he so hostile? She hadn't done anything to the boy. She just saw and met him the very first time. But then remembered the villagers talk bad about him, calling him a demon. Yes, she clearly was confused. Okay. See, I was looking for you and, well, I asked the villagers about you and they all turned hostile, calling you a demon. But why? I don't get it. Naruto wanted to instantly turn around and walk away with this topic being brought up. But when he saw the honest confusion in the girl's eyes, did he decide to stay? I have no idea. They treat me like that since I can remember. Everyone in this village hates me and I have no clue why. He became upset, the topic not fitting with him at all. Hanabi nodded slightly, trying to calm him down. I think it's cool that you are pranking them. Pranking adults sounds like fun. And the way they acted, one actually wanted to hit me for asking about you, guess they deserve your pranks. Hanabi was smiling to the boy, and it was an honest smile, actually calming Naruto down. Plus, not everyone hates you. I know at least 2 persons that don't. Her smile got even bigger and her words catching Naruto's attention. You are just fooling around with me, aren't ya? Like everyone else. Nobody likes me. He verbally attacked Hanabi, trying to push her a little, to find out if the girl was talking the truth and what she wanted from him at all. She was slightly pouting at his words. I just told you that I think you pranking the adults is cool. Don't you think that counts for not hating but liking? She tilted her head a bit to the side, watching directly in his blue eyes. And I'll tell you about the other person if you want. But, she put her finger on her lower lip, thinking for a little, before continuing. I would like to get a favor from you in return. After all, we just met and information are valuable. She smirked a little. For just being 5 years old, was she pretty cunning at all? Naruto pondered her a while, judging her words, her offer, if she was honest, if she wanted to trick him. He then nodded slightly for her to continue. Okay, that's the deal. I would like for you to sneak into the library and snatch me a basic book about slaves. They're in the adults section and the people working there won't let me near it. Meet me tomorrow morning at 9 atop the Hokage monument with the book and I'll tell you. Naruto frowned. He knew it. She wanted to trick him, to get into trouble. But, what if she said the truth, if there was really someone liking him? Why do you want a book about slaves? It's no big deal snatching it though, he simply asked the obvious. After all, this girl was just 5 years old. She thought about it if she could tell him. Well, I have my reasons. Let's say just out of interest, okay. Maybe I tell you tomorrow as well. She smiled again at him, waiting if he would accept. After sighing, did he nod? All right, see you tomorrow at 9. He headed for his home, once looking back at the girl, seeing her wave in his direction before heading home herself. He was confused, to say the least. But also quite curious and interested in what this girl might have to say. The next morning, Naruto was on his way up the Hokage monument, still a bit surprised that the girl hadn't tricked him. Sure, he was on his guard while sneaking into the library last night, expecting that the girl informed the adults there that he would be coming. But they weren't on alert and he easily managed to sneak in and out, snatching not just 1 book the girl wanted but 5, just in case she would ask for another one in the future. He wasn't exactly sure why he grabbed more, but he had time to think about that later. Right now was his mind focused on his meeting with the girl, to get answers from her. However, when he arrived at the agreed spot, was she not there? He cursed to himself for trusting the girl, expecting to be jumped by the adults any second, that she still tricked him in the end by setting up a trap for him at the agreed spot. But again, nothing happened. He was very careful, but stayed, waiting for the girl. Half an hour later did she finally arrive, totally out of breath, standing there, her hands on her knees, trying to get air back into her lungs. She was in a hurry to reach the meeting place. Sneaking out of her home ended up being not as easy as she thought, and she had to sprint through the village to get here, hoping that the boy would still be around. "You're late." She stiffened up when she heard the whisper behind her, feeling something sharp at her neck. Without moving or trying to turn around did she simply drop her head, answering quietly, "Sorry. My family's eyes are everywhere. It was harder to sneak out than I thought it would be." Naruto stand there in silence for a few minutes, Hanabi not doing anything either, before he put the kunai away and walking over to a tree, sitting down below it. When she felt him moving away from her did she turn around, following and sitting down beside the boy in the shadow of the tree. How did it go?" she asked quietly, not wanting to upset the boy anymore. She still wasn't sure about him, why he was the way he was. But she kinda had a feeling that he was a nice person, deep down. It seemed to be the way the village treated him, for whatever reason, that he became that mistrusting and careful. He looked over to her, before pulling out a book, handing it over. "Since everyone hates me, is nobody teaching me anything either? I sneak quite often into the library to snatch books to teach myself. So it wasn't hard after all." Hanabi took the book, checking over the title. "The Basics of Slavery" sounded just like the type of book she was looking for. She hid it away below her clothing before speaking up. "Is it really that bad?" Like totally no one, she wanted to ask about his parents, but remembered Ino saying he was an orphan. He just nodded, sighing, and closed his eyes. "I still think you are cool. Not just pranking the adults, but you also got me the book." "Arigato." Hanabi smiled at him, trying to cheer him up. After all, had she no reason to hate him, and he was nice to her? And it seemed to work a little at least. Naruto took some deep breath, calming down and also brightening up a little. "Well, yes, sure. So, you promised me to tell me about another person that doesn't hate me. Is there really one, or were you lying to just manipulate me into getting you the book?" Hanabi saw the pain in his eyes at the thought of her lying and shook her head. "No. I wasn't lying. You said you were walking down the street when I was with my sister in the restaurant, the moment she fainted." Naruto simply nodded. "You see, she was just telling me that she likes you. Told me about how you saved her around 2 years ago, when she was bullied by some boys. But she couldn't finish the story, because, yeah, she fainted." Hanabi was shrugging her shoulders, before looking back over to Naruto, seeing his totally shocked face. "Your sister. 2 years ago. Does she kinda look like you?" His voice was shaking, trying to comprehend the information and remembering the incident 2 years ago. When Hanabi nodded, wondering why the boy was shaking, did he continue. "I remember that day. She was surrounded by 3 boys who forced her to the ground, trying to get her to apology for something. She was crying and I stepped in. I got beaten pretty badly, but she managed to get away. When an adult appeared, the boys ran away and he was spitting at me, mumbling about this demon nonsense, and told the girl to stay away from me. That's not how you treat someone that saved a girl," he sighed. His whole life was disappointing as long as he could remember. Hanabi thought about it for a moment. "I remember her guards say something about some boys picking on Hinata back then. But he hadn't said anything about you, I guess. So that's what happened, huh? Naruto nodded again slightly before turning to Hanabi. So, Hinata is the name of your sister then. It's pretty nice. And what's yours? She looked at him dumbstruck, before snapping out of it a few seconds later, shaking her head. Sorry, I haven't told you yet, did I? I'm Hanabi. Hanabi Hyuga. And yes, Hinata is my older sis. And hearing the rest of the story, would I say that she likes you since the moment you saved her back then? But, my sis is super shy, you know. Always blushing and stuttering. The feint yesterday was a new one, however. Naruto listened to Hanabi, thinking about this whole situation. He knew that the Hyuga clan was pretty famous within Konoha and that this girl would most likely get in trouble for being with him. But he was happy that there was someone who didn't hate him. That was new to him and he don't wanted to lose these persons right away, though he only met one yet, but knowing about her sister helped as well. They had a normal conversation for the next hour or so, having some small talk, simply enjoying their company. He then asked the one question he still had no answer for. So, why did you want a book about slavery? You said you might tell me today. Hanabi was blushing slightly, she totally forgot about that. Biting her lower lip, did she ponder what to do now? Should she tell the boy? She just met him the day before. And after all, was she not too sure about the whole situation either? That's why she wanted the book in the first place. She came to a decision, slowly shaking her head. Sorry, but I can't tell you. At least for now. Firstly, I have to read the book, and then, she shrugged. She wasn't sure what would happen after that. Naruto nodded, slightly understanding the girl. It's okay. But I'm still curious, so if you ever decide that you would tell me, I'm waiting. Okay. Hanabi nodded and smiled to the boy. Well, it was fun talking. Thanks for the book again. It will really help. Gotta head back home before they go crazy searching for me. See ya. She smiled brightly, waving the boy goodbye before heading back to her clan compound. Naruto stayed under the tree, thinking about that he may have finally found someone who didn't hate him, who might become a friend. Sure, it was just one young girl, even younger than himself, but still. It felt great talking to her for this hour. Back at the compound, Hanabi sneaked back into the clan compound, avoiding the guards, aiming for her sister's room. She entered it through the open window, seeing her sister at her desk studying. Hinata, hearing the sounds, looked up and in the direction of her window, seeing her sister entering. Hanabi, where have you been? Everyone is worried, searching for you. They thought you got kidnapped. Hinata, still her shy self, raised her voice a little. After all, did her younger sister disappear and she was worried, but couldn't do anything. That's why she tried to distract herself with studying. Hanabi felt a bit guilty. Not because of her family, but because she made her sister worry about her. Sorry sis. I had to do something by myself that none should know about. That's why I sneaked out. She was looking to the ground, trying to avoid her sister's eyes. She knew that Hinata most likely cried earlier, being not able to do something for a person she cared for. Suddenly she felt Hinata's arms wrapped around her body, giving her a big hug, holding her close. Never do that again, okay? Hinata was whispering, trying to hold back her tears. Hanabi nodded, hugging her sister back. I'm sorry sis. I really am. After a few minutes standing there, did Hinata let her go, sitting on her bed, motioning for Hanabi to sit next to her. So, what have you done? What was so important to make me worry about you? Hanabi sat down, pondering what to say. I met with someone who did a favor for me. But nobody should know about it or we would both get in trouble. Well, he might get more than me. Hinata listened to her sister, wrapping her arm around her shoulder, pulling her close, holding her. Anyway, sis, you should lock your room. We have something to do that we can't let anyone know about. Hinata looked into Hanabi's eyes before getting up, locking her door. Now I'm curious. Hanabi smiled at her sister, pulling the book out of the hiding place below her clothes, beckoning her over to sit back next to her. Hinata walked back to her bed and sat down, watching on the title of the book. The Basics of Slavery. Where did you get that? Thought they were adult books. She was blushing slightly, knowing she would now learn a little about what she got herself into after all. Can't tell you, sis. That's what I left for this morning. Anyway, now we can read up about slaves and decide what to do, right? Hanabi was smiling. She got kinda excited, learning what she might do to her sister. Hinata nodded and they opened the book. However, the first chapter was a letdown right away. It was titled, Tailed Beasts, Slaves to Shinobi, and did nothing to help them. They didn't knew what a tailed beast was, so they skipped that chapter. Starting with chapter 2 was the book focusing on human slaves, and both girls read all they could. Hanabi pointed to a passage. It's up to the owner how he or she wants to handle the slave. Basically everything is thinkable, from total domination, in which case the slave is only allowed to do something when ordered, to a pretty free relationship between owner and slave, in which only some rules for the slave to follow are set, giving the slave pretty much freedom, as long as it's not breaking the rules. She read out loud, thinking about that, and saw that her sister was deep in thought as well. So it was up to her how she wanted to handle her sister, and everything seemed to be allowed. Suddenly Hinata eeped, and pointed to another passage, reading out loud. If the slave is disobeying the orders or rules given to it, does the owner need to provide punishment? Here as well as everything thinkable. Some may punish the slave to the hardest for every fault or disobeying, but it is advised to scale the level of punishment depending on the situation at hand. Small failures should only be punished small, and so on. This way will the slave most likely understand its mistakes and try to correct them, in order to avoid making big ones. Also, can it be possible that the slave will feel safe with its owner, cause it does know that the owner will treat it fair and according to the own actions. Hinata was shivering after reading this passage. What had she gotten herself into? Hanabi read the last sentence in the punishment chapter. For more information and details about different ways to punish, please refer to our book, Punishing a Slave the Right Way. Another book? I wonder. She thought about if she could ask the boy to get that for her as well. Once they were done with the book, did they discuss the things they just read about, trying to decide a way to handle the situation? I think we should make it simple for now. I'm going to place 2 or 3 simple rules for you to follow, and once we grow up more will we rethink the situation, sis. Will this work with you? Hinata put her index fingers together, thinking about it before slowly nodding. Yes, Hanabi. That sounds reasonable. Good. The rules you have to follow are 1. You will always be nice to me. 2. You won't be having secrets before me. You will tell me everything and keep what I tell you for yourself, and 3. You will always accompany me when I'm going outside unless I tell you not to. Think these will be good ones to start with. I will accept your rules, Hanabi. After all, I lost our bet and I intend to hold my side of the wager. The rules weren't too bad. Considering what they just read about the basics of slavery, could it be way worse for Hinata? She knew that. But she also knew that she was just 7 years old and Hanabi 5. They both couldn't grasp the whole situation. Maybe in 2 years, when she was going to enter the academy. When they both were grown up more a little. She just hoped that Hanabi would go easy on her, being her sister and all. Hanabi was smiling. She felt good, having done the first step by setting rules her sister had to follow. Maybe this situation was something that might turn out good for both of them. Hinata woke up early the next morning. She kinda had the feeling that her sister would charge into her room again and she wanted to be already dressed when this happens. The last time was embarrassing enough for her and she had no intentions of letting this become the regular. Another reason she got up early this morning was because she needed time to think. After reading the book together with her sister was a part of her quite upset about herself, for making such a stupid bet. Another part of her, a bigger one, thought that her current situation was a good one. The rules weren't that bad. In fact, was she always nice to her sister in the past, so nothing changed regarding this rule. And her only secret, that she liked the blonde boy since she got saved by him, had she told her sister already. And she was able to keep other people's secrets to herself. Not like this gossiping Ino girl from the flower shop. The second rule was covered as well with no change at all. The biggest change so far was indeed the fact that she went outside way more often in order to accompany her sister. And this wasn't that bad either. At least did she meet new people this way due to her sister visiting them. She planned on befriending Ino the next time they would visit the flower shop. Beside of her gossiping, did she seem like a good person, so nothing wrong with trying to be her friend. While Hinata was still deep in thought, did her sister charge into her room, without knocking again. Hanabi stopped right away and pouted, seeing her sister already up and dressed. So much for teasing her again. That's totally not fair, sis. Why are you dressed already? Hinata had a slight smile on her face. The last time you charged in was way too embarrassing for me. That's why I got up earlier to avoid this situation. Hanabi couldn't help but smile as well. At least was her sister able to realize things bothering her and finding solutions for them. Good chances to somehow find a solution for her shyness as well. Anyway, Hanabi started, slightly bouncing up and down on her feet. I want to go out again after breakfast. And you are going with me, sis. I want to check on some things and we need to talk, away from our family. Hinata nodded, knowing what topic it will be, if their family shouldn't get the chance to listen on them. Okay, Hanabi. Then let's get us some breakfast. She left and locked her room, taking Hanabi's hand and leading her to the kitchen for breakfast. An hour later were they walking through the streets of Konoha, kinda aimless if Hinata's feeling was right. But she didn't question it, cause her little sister had this one serious look on her face she only put on if something huge was up. After a few more minutes did Hanabi start talking. Hey, sis, remember, no secrets. Her voice was pretty quiet, it really had to be something huge on her mind. So, about your bet. I was thinking for a while now. You wanted to help me get stronger with it, right? By making the loser pay a super high price, did you want to motivate me to improve that I wouldn't be losing? She looked Hinata into her eyes, seeing all kind of emotions in there. You don't need to answer. I can see it in your eyes that I'm right. Hinata wasn't sure how to react. She was surprised that her little sister figured out the reason behind the bet. She surely is a smart girl. So much potential. I'm sorry, Hanabi. Yes, that's why I brought up the bet. But I thought that none of us would win it. You got strong so fast and I couldn't keep up with you. But it's okay. I was thinking about it myself and the situation isn't that bad for me. Yes, I'm somewhat scared. But you are my sister and I really love you. Beside, by going outside together with you am I meeting new people. I wanted to befriend Ino the next time we visit her. Hinata was smiling, a caring and honest smile. So don't worry, Hanabi. It's really okay. Hanabi was listening to her sister, looking her into the eyes. She could feel some tears appearing in her own eyes which she quickly wiped away, before hugging her sister. I feel better a little. Thanks, sis. She held her close for another minute, before letting her go, slightly smiling. Okay, Listen, same bet again. If you manage to win 10 times in a row, are you free? So better start improving, sis. Hanabi's worries were gone quickly and she was grinning at her older sister. Hinata couldn't help but wonder if Hanabi was simply an airhead or if she was smart and cunning. Maybe a bit of both. All right, Hanabi. I agree. Thank you. The situation really wasn't too bad, Hinata thought to herself. It's her sister after all, it might even be real fun in the future. She gave Hanabi a caring smile before they went on walking through the streets of Konoha. Some time later, they were still wandering around town without reaching any destination at all. Hinata couldn't help but wonder what her sister had on her mind, if she simply wanted to be outside the clan compound with her as company. They were talking about different things, mostly small talk. Hanabi pointed out that Hinata should start wearing more fashionable clothes, which made the older sister blush slightly. They decided that they should go on a small shopping trip together with Ino soon. After some while did Hanabi finally spot the blonde-headed boy she was looking for. They went in his direction and Hanabi kept her sister distracted by talking, till the boy finally spotted them as well, looking over to them. Hey sis, we should totally go up the Hokage monument. The view from atop is great. Hanabi was smiling, while pointing up the monument with her arm with a big and noticeable gesture. Sure Hanabi, lead the way. Hinata was totally confused by her sister. First the aimless walking around the town, now the sudden decision to walk up the monument. Like a little kid without a plan. Sure, she only was 5 years old, but she is a smart girl. That was so not matching her. Once Naruto spotted Hanabi walking down the street with her sister, did he smile and wanted to walk over to them. He however stopped in his tracks when Hanabi made her gesture toward the Hokage monument. Smart girl indeed. She remembered what he told her and made this move to tell him to meet up there without approaching him, saving them both the hate, wrath and what else from all the villagers around them. He had a big grin on his face, watching the two sisters walking away toward the monument. That however turned out to be a big mistake. The villagers around him approached, directing all their hate on Naruto. Now look at that. The demon is staring at the Hyuga princesses with this ugly grin of his. One man said, ready to punch Naruto any second. Yeah, he will totally taint them just by looking. One woman added, backing the man up. Worse, he is so planning to catch and defile them. Like any demon would do. A tall Chunin added, drawing his sword. Naruto gulped and jumped up and out of the circle of villagers building around him, running for his life and into the next back alley, trying to get away from the chasing mob. He so hated how they treated him. And it would take him some time to get away, too. He hoped that Hanabi would wait for him. Atop the Hokage monument, 30 minutes later. Wow, the view really is great. Hinata was in awe, watching down on the village from atop the monument. In her 7-year young life was she never up here. It was just stunning and beautiful. Told ya, sis. I like coming up here lately. It's so worth it. And usually there are no people around, making this a quiet place to be. Hanabi was bouncing slightly up and down on her feet, smiling at her sister. She was happy that Hinata liked the view as well. This could be the place to always go to in the future, if they wanted some silence from the village or clan. They stood there for quite some time, talking about the future. Hanabi pointed out that Hinata would enter the ninja academy in 2 years and that she needed to prepare and train a lot for that. Hinata nodded, knowing her sister was right. She can't deny that even her younger sister was stronger than her. 2 years, that seemed to be a long time, but as some say, time is running fast. Will you help me improve, Hanabi? Will you still spar with me, to make me stronger? Hinata looked at her younger sister, who smiled in return, of course, sis. That's the reason why we made the new bed after all, isn't it? I will totally help you. Her smile turned into a grin and she was still bouncing on her feet. She seemed to be happy today and Hinata smiled as well. Hey, Hanabi-chan. What's up? A boy suddenly said from behind them. Hanabi's grin got even brighter while Hinata stiffened up. She knew this voice. Or better, she can remember that voice. This voice is, "Hey Naruto, glad you made it." Hanabi turned around smiling at the boy, waving cheerfully. It really is Naruto, the boy she admired, the boy she liked since 2 years. He was standing behind her. This is too much for her and she fainted. Oh crap. Hanabi saw her sister losing balance and falling, grabbing her before something bad could happen. They were standing atop the Hokage monument after all. Naruto reached the two girls only a second later, helping Hanabi to get Hinata off the cliff and laying her down below a tree in the shadow. That's the second time she fainted, and both times were you somewhere nearby, Naruto. I guess she really likes you. I told ya. Hanabi giggled at the slightly blushing Naruto. You think that's funny? She's your sister. What if she fell down just now? Hanabi paled at Naruto's words, just realizing that they in fact really were close to the edge when Hinata fainted. Out of instinct did she pull her sister's head in her lap, gently stroking her hair. I'm sorry, sis, I really am sorry. I haven't seen the danger. But all's good now, you won't fall. She whispered soothingly in her ear, hoping that her sister would hear her in her fainted state. Naruto smiled at this sight, realizing that he envied them for being so close. If only he had a family. By the way, Hanabi-chan, nice move to tell me coming up here without anyone else to notice it. I understood it right away. Hanabi continued stroking her sister's hair and looked over to Naruto. If you understood, why were you that late? I was worried that you wouldn't come and was nearly on my way back down to search you once again. Well, the villagers may have not understood your message to me, but they saw me looking at you too. They said stuff like, the demon will catch and defile the Hyuga princesses and started chasing me through the village again. Think they tried to kill me this time? If the sword-swinging Chunin was anything to go by, his voice became quieter and angrier with each word he said, while Hanabi started frowning. That's just ridiculous. What's the problem of these villagers? Hanabi was upset. Like totally. Sure, Naruto was pranking them, but from all she understood was he hated even before he started the pranks. It just didn't made sense to her. Sorry if you got in trouble because of me. Hanabi looked down on her fainted sister, still stroking her hair, feeling guilty that Naruto was chased around town today. Nah, it's okay Hanabi-chan. I'm kinda used to it. Quote. Hanabi felt even more emotions that moment, but Naruto continued before she could say anything. Beside, I'm really glad I became friends with you. You are the first friend I ever had. I'll cherish that for life, believe it. He was smiling brightly. So, why did you call me up here? Wanted to introduce me to your sister. Though I doubt this would work right now. Or decided to tell me about your interest in the book I got you. His smile got even brighter, though he would be fine if Hanabi just wanted to hang out with him. He was just glad for his first friend in life. I can't tell you about the book yet. But I wanted to ask if you could get me another one. She tilted her head a little, watching Naruto. And I wanted to introduce you, yes. But, seems really to be difficult right now. She couldn't help but giggle, still stroking Hinata's hair, wondering how long she would be out at all. Naruto frowned a bit. Another book. Let me guess, again about slaves. Seriously, why are you that interested in this topic? It's like you would own one yourself. Naruto watched into the sky while talking, missing the slight blush on Hanabi's cheeks. Well, I really can't tell you. But, if you would help me again. Her voice was pretty quiet. Looking at Naruto once more, did she pull a piece of paper out of her pocket, handing it to Naruto. Okay. Let's see. Punishing a slave the right way. He was raising an eyebrow at Hanabi, shaking his head lightly. Well, I guess I can snatch it for you, but I would like you to do me a favor in return. Hanabi nodded, waiting for him to speak on. You see, because everyone hates me, is it hard to live here at all? Most shops don't even let me in, and the ones who does totally overcharge me for everything. That's so annoying. He sighed, trying to calm back down after he got himself upset while talking. So if you would do some purchases for me, that would be great. He smiled at the girl, which in return looked pretty shocked at him. They do what? But why? This doesn't make any sense. I really don't get why the villagers do treat you like that. She was shaking her head in disbelief. But sure, we can do that for you. I mean, if my sisters decides to wake up, that is. Hanabi's eyes went down to her still sleeping sister, who had snuggled herself a bit deeper into Hanabi's lap. I'm sure she will be awake soon. Don't worry, Hanabi-chan. And thanks. He was smiling again, pulling 2 pieces of paper out of his pocket, handing them over. My shopping list and my address. Meet me there in 3 hours, okay. Hanabi took the papers and nodded, watching while Naruto left. After a few minutes did she decide to slap Hinata lightly on her cheeks, trying to wake her. Don't want to get up. Hinata was mumbling, snuggling ever deeper into Hanabi's lap. Common sis, get up already. You dreamed enough for now. We have some purchases to do. Hinata slowly sat up and rubbed her eyes. But the dream was so nice. She yawned slightly before finally standing up. Well, okay, then let's go, Hanabi. Both smiled at each other before they left. Troublesome, could be quietly heard from the other side of the tree, where a lazy black-haired boy laid behind the bushes, watching the clouds. That's so troublesome. He yawned and focused back on the clouds. He heard the whole conversation between the Hyuga girl and the blonde prankster. He just wasn't sure yet what these informations might be good for. 3 hours later, the 2 sisters approached the apartment Naruto lived in, with Hinata carrying the shopping bags. While they were shopping for his stuff, did Hanabi explain what he told her to her sister, who was just as shocked to hear what had happened to the boy his whole life. Hinata couldn't understand the villagers at all. After all, was this boy so kind and cute, and she blushed. Oh, common sis, if you blush every time you think about him and faint in his presence, how will you ever become stronger? Or tell him that you like him? Hanabi sighed at her sister. She really wanted to help her, but this might prove to be pretty hard. Also, it might have slipped her mind to tell her sister that she already told Naruto about the way Hinata felt for him. When they got near the apartment, did they look around if nobody was paying attention to them before heading for his door and knocking. It took some while before the door finally opened, Naruto carefully watching outside, before brightening up to see the 2 sisters. Hinata was close to be fainting again, but got slapped across the cheek by her sister. Don't you dare faint on me again, sis. Pull yourself together, will ya? Hinata, shocked about her sister's action, rubbed her cheek and nodded slightly. Okay, I'll try. She looked down at the ground, trying to pay no attention to Naruto, cause she expected to faint as soon as she focuses on him. Naruto was a bit confused what just happened there, but didn't waste a second thought on it. Well, come inside before anyone notice. I don't want any of you getting into trouble because of me. They nodded and entered his apartment. It was a small one, consisting of only a living room with a small built-in kitchen, a sleeping and a bathroom. And it was everything but cleaned. He grinned at the faces the 2 sisters made, seeing the state of his apartment. See, I don't really get visitors, so I barely bother cleaning up. His words made sense, but still. I won't be coming again if you don't clean the next time, got that? Hanabi was the first to get out of her shock, before pulling her sister towards the couch and sitting down. Anyway, we got the things you asked for. Hanabi motioned for Hinata to put the bags she was carrying on the table in front of them. Wow, thanks a million. Naruto got super excited and hugged first Hanabi, then Hinata, who was on the brink of fainting again, before getting another slap from her sister, combined with a glare at her. Sorry, Hanabi. Hinata deep breathed, calming down slightly. I'm good now. After putting the purchases away, did Naruto sit down across the table in front of the girls. Really? I'm thankful that you bought me these things, believe it. Now I can cook me a few proper meals without worrying about anything. So, he grabbed into a bag next to his chair and tossed a book on the table, in front of Hanabi. That's the one you were asking for, right? Both girls leant forward a little, reading the title. Hinata was blushing a dark red while Hanabi nodded. Yeah, that's it. Thanks. But how did you get it that fast and then during the day at all? She was tilting her head to the side, looking at Naruto, who just grinned. He put his hands behind his head, rubbing it slightly. See, funny story. When I went to get you the first book, did I, for no reason really, snatch the one or other additional book? Thought you may come ask for more, so, yeah. He was a bit flushed when Hanabi started to giggle. Why you asked? Na Naruto-kun to get these BB books. It was Hinata who spoke, her head being crimson red. Hanabi looked at her sister before answering. Sure sis. After you told me about him got I interested. And remembering Ino saying that he is pranking the adults, did I figure he would be able to get the books as well. After all, it's basically just a prank. Hinata was breathing deeply, trying not to faint again. He might have got the books for her sister, but he isn't knowing anything, right? You still won't tell me, Hanabi-chan. Seeing the blushing Hinata got him again interested to know why the young Hyuga wanted these books about slavery. She simply grinned at him before answering, nope, not a chance. Sticking her tongue out at Naruto, did she pick up the book from the table to got started on its contents. The book was built up in a logical order, from slave punishments starting with pretty simple and low ones, like just scolding or small spankings, over denying them some freedoms or a meal up to. Hanabi paled, eyes open wide in shock, not moving at all. That got Hinata and Naruto worrying, and they both were at Hanabi's side in an instant, trying to get her out of her shock. Hinata pulled Hanabi close, gently stroking her hair and whispering soothing words into her ear. Naruto on the other side wanted to find the source of her shock, picking up the book and looking over the page Hanabi had open. His eyebrow raised and his mouth twitched, before he read out loud. In order to set an example with other slaves, is it common use that an owner might remove a limb or even kill a disobeying slave, to keep the other slaves in line. Hinata paled as well, hearing that, but continued stroking her sister's hair. Naruto was confused as hell, closing the book. Seriously, why is she interested in stuff like that? Seeing both girls in this distressed state, Naruto got up and went into his kitchen, getting them both a glass water. Knowing basically nothing how to interact with other people or how to treat someone in this state, a glass of water sounded like a good idea to him. Both girls took the glass thankfully and devoured the water, calming down slightly. Hanabi finally was able to think again, mumbling a low-voiced, disgusting, before shivering and snuggling slightly into her sister's embrace. They sat there for some minutes and Naruto just watched in silence, not wanting to disturb them in this situation. After another 10 minutes had Hanabi recovered enough to stand up from the couch. I can see why these books are for adults, anyway, thanks Naruto. For everything. He smiled at her. No problem at all, Hanabi-chan. After all, we are friends, believe it. His smile got even brighter and Hanabi smiled in return, nodding. Oh, before you go, there was one book I grabbed I think was misplaced there. It's titled, Raising Pets. Want to take it as well? Hanabi was thinking about it while hiding the first book below her clothes. Let Hinata take it. She's more a friend of animals than myself. Naruto nodded and got the book from somewhere in his apartment, handing it over to a slightly blushing Hinata who held the book close to her chest. Thank you. Naruto-kun. After bidding their goodbyes were the girls on their way back to home, planning to calm down even more. The contents of the book really hit their minds. Hyuga Compound. The way home happened in absolute silence between the sisters. Both of them thinking about what was written in the new book they got. To say that Hinata was scared would be an understatement. She had thoughts running through her head, that her sister wouldn't be that cruel to her. They loved each other and got along quite well. Hanabi on the other hand thought about that these things were just disgusting. Who would cut a limb just to prove a point? But then again, were they living in a cruel and dangerous world, and judging by how the village treated Naruto for basically no reason, there would be people who would cut a limb to prove a point. She however wouldn't. Especially not to her sister. They sat down together in Hinata's room, finally talking about it. The outcome of this talk was simple. Both stated their opinions on the things they recently learned and that they absolutely disagree with these things. Also that they would continue the way they decided already anyway, with Hinata following the 3 set rules and having all freedoms beside them. Once these things were settled, followed a quite normal day for them. They ate lunch together, sparred during the afternoon with Hanabi winning by a long shot. They both thought about how they could get Hinata to improve, but couldn't come up with a solution for now. But there were 2 years before Hinata would enter the academy, so nothing to worry about yet. In the evening was Hinata alone in her room, preparing to go to sleep. After changing into sleeping clothes, did she decide that she would read a little before finally sleeping. Remembering the book Naruto gave her this day, she took it out of her bag and started reading. Raising Pets. A nice book with tips about raising a pet. That's something one could read in the evening. That's what Hinata thought at least. The book was split into 3 sections. Raising cats, raising dogs and raising ponies. She always liked cats, so she went straight for the first chapter and started reading. It didn't took her long to realize that this book wasn't placed with the slavery books by mistake. No, it fit there real good, to be precise. It detailed on how to raise humans as pets, specifically as cats, dogs or ponies. She started blushing and that increased up to a dark crimson red. When she felt like fainting, did she put the book away? To be precise, did she hid it in the deepest corner of her room? She felt slightly aroused, but mainly embarrassed. She wouldn't touch this book for a long time. Best would be to hide it forever that nobody will find it. A few days later, Hinata was on her way to the Yamanaka flower shop. After all, did she still plan to befriend Ino? And doing so by herself, without her sister around, would be a good start to somehow get over her shyness. She was nervous but determined. Even before entering, could she already hear the voice of Ino from the inside. Can't you just once stop being such a lazy? I'm not having all day. You know, Shika. Ino was quite upset at the black-haired boy somehow bothering her inside the shop. Troublesome. My mother told me to pick something up over here. But I don't know what exactly. Because you were too lazy to even listen to her. Seriously, I don't understand you at all. Oh, hey Hinata-chan. Ino waved over to the entrance where she saw Hinata enter the shop, totally ignoring that she just scolded her childhood friend. Ino, you are so troublesome. Hello Ino. IWW wanted to talk to you if TTH this is okay. B but you seem be busy right and now. It was indeed hard to overcome her shyness, but she tried. You mean him. Just ignore him. Shikamaru is too lazy to be interested if you pay attention or not. And he won't know what he wanted to pick up here at all for the next 30 minutes or so. So don't worry, I'm free. Hinata was smiling slightly, wording a silent apology in the boy's direction. Just troublesome. So, what do you need, Hinata-chan? Want to talk about cute boys? Ino smiled at the blushing Hinata, leaning against the counter. What? No. Hinata turned crimson red, but at least stopped stuttering for now. I came over because I want to befriend you. I wanted to ask you to be my friend. Ino touched her lower lip, pondering the request, but smiling inwards. Now that's kinda sudden, don't you think, Hinata-chan? I don't know what to say now. Ino barely managed to hide the grin that was slowly approaching her face. Hanabi had spoken to her some days ago, telling her of her sister's plans. And she couldn't help but tease poor Hinata. Though it was more than teasing. She tried to push her a little bit, to boost her confidence, to see her determination. Please, Ino. I really want to have you as a friend. It will help me grow. You get along with my sister, so why not with me? Her voice started to shake a little, and if you watched closely could you see a small tear building in her eyes. Ino decided to stop the teasing cause Hinata had shown her determination. She went over to the normally shy girl and hugged her tightly. Hey, it's okay. We are friends. No need to get upset. Hinata snuggled into Ino's embrace and nodded slightly, wiping the tear away. That means a lot to me, Ino. Arigato. She was whispering, but it was grateful. She did her first step and she did it alone. Girls, so troublesome. Shikamaru stood at the sight, waiting for the girls to finish. If you are done already, I need to get this bouquet for my mother. Ino glared at Shikamaru, before moving behind the counter to charge him. You know that this was just rude. This was something important to Hinata-chan and you interrupted it and say it's troublesome. Seriously, you are lazy and rude. Shikamaru just shrugged and paid for the flowers. You really are troublesome. I won't understand you at all. Backstepping from a punch Ino aimed at his face, did he simply turn around, leaving the shop. It's always the same with Shika. I sometimes really wonder why we are friends. Ino sighed after Shikamaru left. But isn't it a good thing to have different personalities among your friends? I mean, like Hanabi and me for example. Hinata asked quietly, unsure of herself. Ino watched her a moment before smiling. Guess you're right, Hinata-chan. So, now that you did what you came for, I think we wanted to talk about cute boys, right? She grinned and Hinata blushed, shaking her head no. Maybe another TT time. And there came her stuttering back again. It really was a long way to go. After bidding her goodbyes to Ino was Hinata on her way back home, but got stopped right outside the shop by the black-haired boy who just left moments ago. Hey, you are the Hyuga heiress, right? Hinata stopped and turned to the boy, nodding. Yes, I guess. And you are. Shikamaru Nara. Ino and I are friends since forever. See, I just wanted to tell you that I got to listen on your conversation atop the monument few days ago. The one between you, your sister and the blonde boy. Well, mainly your sister and the boy. Hinata blushed, remembering that she was blacked out most of the time up there. So, what do you want then? Oh, nothing really. Just wanted to tell that I got to listen to it accidentally cause I was cloud watching on the other side of the tree behind the bushes. I mean, I know how the villagers treat the boy and all, and I think it's nice that you befriended him. Won't tell anyone either, no worries. Would be too troublesome. So, yeah, see ya. He waved lazily before heading his way home, leaving a slightly confused Hinata behind. Shikamaru seemed to be a strange person, but she was the one talking about having different personalities as friends being something good. Maybe she should try to befriend him as well. There must be more to his laziness, at least as he seemed to be a nice one. So her next step of losing her shyness and getting stronger was decided. It would be a long way, but she would make it. With the help of her sister and friends, she was sure about it. Hinata was excited. 2 years have passed since she made her bet with her younger sister, and so far did her life become better for that. She was now 9 years young and had improved quite a bit due to her regular sparring with her sister. She still wasn't near the talent her sister possessed and far away from winning the second bet to release her from being her sister's slave, but that was okay. 'Cause till now was there nothing bad about it. If anything at all, was she even closer to her sister than before, and she made some friends she might have never met if not for the fact that she was accompanying her sister. And today was the day she would start in the Ninja Academy. Yes, she was excited about it. During the past 2 years did she manage to reduce her shyness by a bit. Sure, she still wasn't as outgoing as her sister, but she was far away from where she started. Her stuttering was reduced to only be there if she had strong emotions of any kind, and it's been months since she fainted the last time around Naruto. Yes, life was good to her so far. Her body also had developed a bit, and that's the only point she had problems with. She still felt insecure when it came to her body, and the fact that her were growing faster than other girls her age didn't made it any better. That's the only point. Her sister wasn't able to change her behavior till now. When Hinata got dressed this morning, did she put a huge gray-brownish jacket over her clothes in an attempt to hide her body. She knew her sister would scold her again for that, but it was her first day at the academy. There was no way she wouldn't wear her jacket. After bidding her goodbyes to her father and sister at the door, who told her to be safe and pay attention, was she on her way to the academy. However, she didn't made it far without incident, cause as soon as she turned around the first corner on her way was she stopped by a boy with long brown hair and eyes the same as hers. Neji ni-san, what are you doing here? It was her cousin, Neji Hyuga, son of her father's brother. They kinda got along and he was family, but there were times she just couldn't stand him, whenever he started talking about destiny and how life already decided everyone's path. You shouldn't go to the academy, Hinata. You are too weak for it. You won't fit in there. Go back home. Of course, he just had to ruin her day. Just because he was 1 year older and also was in the second year of academy, was there no reason to tell her something like that? After all, she was sparring with her sister and I am paving. It's been a long time that she actually sparred with him. I'm quite capable of becoming a ninja, Neji ni. And I will become one. You won't stop me, no matter what you say. Neji was a little surprised hearing this, but he didn't show it. When did she learn to talk back? Whatever. Just don't get yourself killed on the first day. He walked away toward the academy, leaving Hinata behind. She stood there for a few minutes, trying to calm down and breathe deeply, before returning her way. No, she won't be down because of her cousin. It was unpleasant, yes, but it won't pull her down. Not today. After all, did she look forward to his day for quite a while now? She wasn't her old, unsecure self anymore, which would be down by these words. She changed, and in a good way too. When she arrived at the academy, did she still have time left before the day would start? Once inside and getting information which room was assigned to the new starters this year, did she aim for it, stopping in front of the door to the classroom. It was quite noisy inside and she took a deep breath. While she made quite some progress with her shyness, felt she still uneasy with too many persons around her. But there was no helping it. She opened the door and entered the room. Hey, Hinata-chan, over here. The moment she entered was she spotted by her friend Ino, who called out to her and waved frantically. Hinata was relieved to see her friend in the classroom, at least one person she knew. Walking over to Ino, did she take the seat next to her, smiling slightly. Morning, Ino. I'm relieved you are here. I was worrying that I would be in class with no one I know. Ino gave her a reassuring smile. Well, it's not just me. Shika is here too, though he seems to sleep again, that lazy. She was pointing to some seats away where a black-headed boy was sleeping on his desk. Yes, that's definitely Shikamaru. Hinata smiled. So, did you hear any rumors? Anything interesting about the academy or the new students? Hinata became slightly interested to gossip by being friends with Ino for 2 years. And Ino always had the hottest informations. Well, actually, yes. There are some rumors going around. It's said that your blonde prankster, Naruto, will also start academy this year. But I guess he isn't here yet, or we most likely would have heard someone scream in anger already by one of his pranks. Hinata blushed slightly, smiling at Ino's statement. Naruto-kun will be in the academy. I'm so glad. Ino gave her a big smile. It's just a rumor so far, but considering that he is our age, is it quite possible? Hanabi told me that you got your fainting around him under control. Hinata just nodded, still somehow distracted by the thought that her crush would be in the academy as well, and with this in her class. Yeah, anyway, there is another interesting rumor. It's said that there would be an early starter this year. I don't have any details, but it's not impossible to start being younger than 9 years. It happened a few times already. Now that got Hinata's attention. Really? Someone younger than us will start this year. I wonder who this person might be. Guess it must be a super talented child from one of the big clans. Or maybe a lone genius from an unknown family. She always had a thing for underdogs, trying to improve and show everyone what they are capable of. Being one herself and all, and having a crush on Naruto, the number one underdog in the village for still unknown reasons. Seriously, why is the village hating him? She shook her head. Also, the last of the Uchiha clan is in our class too. She was whispering, trying not to catch the attention of said Uchiha. Everyone knew about the massacre that killed his whole clan. Since then was he silent and introverted, kinda in his own world, not paying attention to anyone. The girls seemed to be interested in him though, but if you asked them, couldn't they answer why, just saying things like, he's so cool. Hinata acknowledged this information, but wasn't paying too much attention to it. After all, her eyes were set on another boy. I also got some informations on our teacher. Seems like we are getting a chunin who lost both parents 9 years ago when he was a child himself. I really wonder if someone like that can teach children. Ino sounded slightly worried, and Hinata nodded to this information. Really doesn't sound too reassuring to her. While they were wondering could screams be heard from the floor, before the door was quickly opened and closed, and a blond boy wearing a black t-shirt quickly entered the classroom and hid to avoid the wrath from his latest victims. And here we have the number one prankster of the village. I told ya he would be here, didn't I? Ino looked at Hinata just to realize that she indeed wasn't fainting, but spaced out with her thoughts on Naruto. Sighing, did she slightly slap her cheeks, bringing her back to reality. You know, Hanabi told me to slap you painfully if you dare to faint or space out here in school. She doesn't want you to fall back to your old self. So, now that I informed you, will the next time be more painful? She expected Hinata to be shocked by this information, or at least surprised, but the reaction she got surprised herself, when Hinata simply nodded. I understand, Ino. Blinking her eyes a few times, did she shook it of. Did Hinata just simply acknowledge that I will slap her whenever she tries to faint or space out? She wondered if something was wrong with Hinata, but dropped that thought. Naruto was on his way to the back of the classroom to take a seat in the last row, passing by Ino and Hinata. Hey Hinata-chan, glad you are here as well. And that's, I know your name too. Let's see. Ino frowned. Cut it, Naruto. You know my name just fine. But if you do something like that, do I start to understand why the village is hating you? Naruto just grinned and walked on. It was so simple to tease Ino. But he made a mental note to not overdo it. He still hadn't much friends and he don't wanted to lose just a single one because of his actions. Hinata simply smiled the whole time, having blushed again being close to Naruto. But true to her words, she hadn't fainted at all. After some while did someone enter the room. He was wearing the typical Chunin outfit that could be seen quite often around the village, containing of green pants and shirt with a green flak vest above it. The most noticeable about this ninja would be the scar slightly above and across his nose. Alright everyone, settle down please. Good morning. My name is Aruka Yumino and starting from today are you all officially students of the academy and I'm your teacher. There are of course others who will teach you too, but we will spend most of our time together. Looking around the room did he recognize quite a few kids from different clans of Konoha. Okay, let's see what I got here. Blonde hair, blue eyes, must be a Yamanaka. That's a Hyuga girl next to her, hard to miss these pale white eyes. A sleeping black head, Nara I guess, Shikaku's son if I'm not mistaken. Chubby boy with brown hair, Akamichi for sure. Red face markings, dog atop the head, clearly an Inuzuka. And there, shaded glasses and a trenchcoat, guess an Aburame. Oh, seems like I got the last Uchiha as well. And the blonde prankster. This will be indeed an interesting class with nearly every important clan present. Alright, listen up. Before we are getting started, do I need to announce something? Some of you might have heard the rumors already and I can only say that they are correct. We will have another student in our class, an early starter. Now that got the attention of the whole class, even the emotional cold Uchiha paid attention. Well, the whole class except for a sleeping blackhead. Okay, you can come in now. The door to the classroom opened and in walked a slender girl of around 7 years with slightly above shoulder length black hair and pale white eyes. Ino's and Hinata's jaws dropped, looking at the girl with disbelief. Most of the class seemed kinda curious about that girl, while some had angry looks and a few others simply stayed neutral. You must be kidding us. There is no way that a girl like this can be an early starter. Just look at her. No muscles, way too slim body, there is just no way. It was the boy with dog atop his head who shouted out while the girl walked next to the teacher, looking over the class. Aruka looked on a name list he had brought with him, before speaking. Kiba Inuzuka, be quiet. You should have learned to never judge someone by their appearance. The boy growled but shut his mouth. Now, do you want to introduce yourself? He was addressing the girl at his side, who was bouncing up and down on her feet due to excitement. UHU, she nodded, smiling at the class and waving in the direction of Ino and the slightly blushing Hinata. Hey sis. Getting quite some confused looks from the other kids, before she addressed the whole class. Okay, I'm Hanabi. I'm 7 years young and I'm starting academy with all of you today. And while I think that the dog boy was rude, do I like his puppy? It's so cute. She giggled when the boy growled again while his dog gave a happy bark. Good Hanabi. Now please take a seat. You can sit by your sister's side if you want. He pointed on the empty seat in the row where Ino and Hinata were sitting and Hanabi nodded before heading there, giving her sister a hug before sitting down, getting a few looks of the boys in the class. They couldn't believe their luck having two beautiful sisters in class. After taking her seat did she lean over to her sister, whispering, Hey sis, I thought I told you to not wear that jacket. I don't like it if you are covering your body like that. That's a step back to your shyness. Hinata was blushing, whispering back to her. But, I knew here would be so many persons around me. I just don't wanted. She bit her lip, becoming silent. Realizing that the mood was going down, did Ino decide to enter the conversation, WHSIPERING as well. Say, Hanabi-chan, why haven't you told that you would start with Academy this year as well? She was totally curious. Hanabi was normally talking about everything, but this topic never left her lips. She looked over to Ino and grinned. That was Naruto's idea. He said it would be a great prank to surprise you two with that. And, honestly, you should have seen your faces when I entered. She stuck her tongue out at Ino, before turning her head to the front, finally paying attention to the things their new teacher were telling. Though most were boring things about how the academy worked, so nothing important they missed with their conversation. Okay. We will now start with academy for real. That were Aruka's words just now, so they really missed nothing important. To start off, will we go outside and hold a few sparring fights that we can judge how good your taijutsu, or hand-to-hand combat, is. Since we have several kids from clans here in this class, do we want to see how far you got with your training, that we can better judge your progress and see what we need to focus on. This way can we also see how good or far the non-clan children are. This is so going to be fun. Hanabi giggled, while Ino and Hinata looked worried. Evaluation fights on the first day. They weren't prepared for that. The academy's training field. Listen up, each of you will get one fight. Only taijutsu is allowed. If I stop a fight, it is over. We won't allow any of you to suffer life-threatening wounds, so nothing to worry about. Any questions? Aruka looked around his new students. Yeah, me. The boy with the dog, Kiba Inuzuka, spoke up. Can I get the little girl as opponent? He was grinning, seeing a possibility to prove that this girl don't belong here. Now that's what I would call a troublemaker. And here I thought I might get most problems with the prankster of Konoha, Naruto Uzumaki, oh well. Aruka looked over to Hanabi, who was just smiling back at him, before sighing. Well, I guess. I see no problem with this pairing. If none of you mind, can this also be the first match? Kiba grinned ferally while stepping forward. Hey, Akamaru, I can handle this alone, so get yourself a break, partner. His dog barked in confirmation before jumping of his head and walking over to where Hinata was standing, sitting down at her side. She smiled and petted his head. Hanabi also stepped forward on the training field, placing herself opposite of Kiba, still smiling, and started to slightly bounce up and down her feet again. She looked relaxed and happy. Hey, your expression will change really fast, little girl. I'll show you. Kiba's grin got even wider than before. Aruka just sighed. This would end badly, that one was for sure. Okay. If both of you are ready, then begin. When he gave the starting signal, did two things happen. One was Kiba suddenly charging forward with high speed, the other Hanabi closing her eyes. What is she doing? Guess I need to stop the match right away. Aruka was thinking fast, but before he could intercept, did something happen he hadn't expected. The still bouncing Hanabi sidestepped Kiba's attack without even opening her eyes. Hinata was shocked at first when her sister closed her eyes, but now knew what she was doing. She couldn't help but giggle, before taking the small white puppy up in her arm. I'm sorry, little one, but it seems like your friend will be beaten up by my sister. Akamaru barked in confirmation. Huh, you knew that would happen. She petted the dog, who barked again in confirmation. Poor boy, being played with by my sister. She giggled again and focused back of the match. Ino was also wondering what were happening there, having listened into Hinata's talk with the puppy and being not any wiser. Uruka needed a moment to understand what was happening. But then made his head the connection. Little girl. I hadn't expect her to have so much control. But it makes sense. She didn't told them she was a Hyuga, though it is notable by these eyes of her. But who knows if these children know about the power their eyes possess. Smart move, but still, he relaxed, watching the match further, expecting Hanabi to win without problems against Kiba. Meanwhile, Kiba had real trouble with Hanabi. It wasn't like she would attack or hit him. No, she was simply bouncing up and down on her feet with closed eyes and dodging each and every attack he tried on her. He was down on all four by now, pumping chakra in his limbs to further increase his speed. This fighting style was famous with the Inuzuka clan due to their similar traits to dogs and wolves. Another reason why they are fighting alongside dogs at all. But even with his increased speed was he still unable to hit Hanabi. What the? Stop dodging, you little. Kiba became angry, but all Hanabi did was grinning slightly, still bouncing with closed eyes. That enraged Kiba further and he decided to go all out against that girl. There was no way she could be this good. He grinned at her. Okay, little girl. Last chance to give up, and over. Now deal with this. Kazuga. He shouted before sending his body in a spinning rotation, creating a kind of maelstrom around him, charging at Hanabi. The attack wasn't perfect yet, but it should be enough to finish off a 7-year-old girl. Hanabi was surprised and finally opened her eyes, entering a fighting stance. She could tell that this attack was critical. There were only a split second of time and everything happened fast. None of the watchers even realized the change in the attitude of the girl. When Kiba got close, did she again sidestep to dodge the attack, but also did one punch aiming for his shoulder, cause this would be the first part of his body in her range and this was the part of the body she needed to hit in order to deflect the attack. Her punch connected and Kiba started struggling in his rotation, losing direction and hitting face first in the wall surrounding the training field of the academy. Relaxing and closing her eyes again, did Hanabi breathe deeply, to calm herself down. Yes, she was toying with this boy, most of the fight. But he was strong, she had to become serious for his last attack. Serves you right for insulting me, dog boy. Though I have to say, your last attack was something. Oh, hey little puppy. She crouched to pet Akamaru, who jumped down from Hinata's embrace and ran over to Hanabi, giving her a happy bark. I think he deserved it. You aren't mad at me, are you? Akamaru barked again and snuggled into Hanabi's touch. Thanks. Now go, your friend needs your care. She smiled, watching Akamaru walk over to the knocked out Kiba. Well done, Hanabi. I got to say your control over your Kekkei Genkai is quite something. And saving your energy by just dodging and not attacking was a smart move. Kiba got angry and made mistakes, leading to his defeat. This is a working way to fight, class. Now Hanabi, would you please show the class your Kekkei Genkai? Uruka explained, before addressing Hanabi directly. She pouted. Why do you have to spoil all my fun by telling them? No fair, sensei. Her behavior more than a little childish, though she is only 7 years old. Talented and smart, yes. But still a young child. Uruka smiled gently at her before addressing Hinata. Well, Hinata, if you would be so kind to show the class. And maybe explain as well. Hinata blushed with all this attention but then nodded slightly, closing her eyes and activating her Kekkei Genkai, the Byakugan. Opening her eyes again was the first noticeable change, the veins visible at the sides of her eyes. You see, we from the Hyuga clan possess a Kekkei Genkai, our bloodline. Our eyes are special and it's called Byakugan. Despite the attention, did she manage not to stutter so far? We can see basically everything around us within 360 degrees when it is activated and step back. she shouted suddenly, surprising everyone. Following her shout did a blond boy in her back do a dodge backward, avoiding a punch of the black-haired boy he sneaked up to. It was Naruto trying to pull a prank on the emotional cold Uchiha who in return sensed him and wanted to knock him out with one punch. It was Hinata's warning that saved Naruto for now, even so she normally wouldn't be able to see this situation, if not for her Byakugan. Naruto was grinning. Thanks Hinata-chan. Iruka rolled his eyes before addressing his class. While I do not tolerate pranks during my classes, do I have to say that this was quite a good demonstration of the Hyuga Kekkei Genkai. Naruto and Sasuke were in Hinata's back, but she still saw what was happening there. Though, I never saw a Hyuga fight with closed eyes. Hanabi, care to explain? Hanabi was still pouting, but nodded. I'm not an early starter for nothing, sensei. The vision is blurry if you use the Byakugan with closed eyes. That's why basically all Hyuga fight with opened eyes. But with enough feeling for your own eyes can you overcome the blurriness and clearly see even if your eyes are closed. That's quite useful if the area or opponent is threatening to hurt your eyes. But it's rare that one of us has enough feeling, or so my father said at least. She shrugged. Anyway, the dog boy deserved that for insulting me. Iruka nodded slowly in understanding. I didn't knew that about the Byakugan. Even as teacher can I still learn new things. He smiled, but mostly got annoyed looks from his students. Anyway, there should be a few more Kekkei Genkais in our class. Or at least things that come close to them, so-called clan traits. The beast traits of Kiba over there for example. They aren't a real Kekkei Genkai, but they are close. It's something only the Inuzuka clan inherits here in Konoha. He wasn't really planning on starting with Kekkei Genkai on the first day. In fact wanted he to postpone the start for teachings in general till next week and use the first week to learn more about his students and their talents. But since it came up with the first sparring right away, at least were his students listening to this topic. Anyway, there are lots and lots of different Kekkei Genkais existing. Some are more common than others, some became super rare or even vanquished because whole clans got killed during the past wars. Sometimes does it need time before it awakens inside a host, sometimes it's active from birth. It's a complex topic and we might cover it later, but for now, he smiled at the attention he got from his students. And that right on the first day. That's a new and unbeatable record in the academy. I think we went a bit away from our topic at hand. I remember starting with sparrings to see how good all of you are with taijutsu. A part of his class was frowning. They hoped he might have been distracted enough by the topic change to forgot about the sparrings. It's easier to just listen than being active themselves, and kids tend to be lazy these days. Iruka knew that as well, and he was teacher for quite some years now. He knew how kids' minds worked, at least on a general basis. Alright, since you two already tried to start something, will you be the next ones? Naruto, Sasuke, please step forward for your match. Naruto was grinning while stepping forward, getting several glances and glares, some whispering as well. His reputation as prankster was well known, and the fact that basically the whole village hated him also transferred to his classmates, with a few exceptions of course. He became good friends with Hanabi and Hinata during the last 2 years and even befriended Ino, who was often around the two sisters. Shikamaru was okay as well. He started sometimes hanging out with them after Hinata nagged him about becoming friends for some while. Okay, honestly all she did was ask him just once about becoming friends, but that was enough for him to be considered nagging. It was always troublesome to him to spend time with others. At least did they got along. Why should I bother? You won't land a single hit. Sasuke's voice was kinda bland and cold, while he stepped forward. Many of the girls watched him with love-filled eyes. I'm so going to beat you. Naruto was grinning at Sasuke and charged forward as soon as they got the starting signal. He tried to end it quick, aiming a punch right at Sasuke's face. Sasuke on the other side simply waited for his approach, sidestepping the punch and in return delivered a kick into Naruto's stomach, who went down to the ground. Sasuke placed his knee at Naruto's back, pinning him to the ground. Okay, that's enough. Sasuke has won. Quite a display of speed and strength. Well done, both of you. Iruka noted the results and called the next few spars. Naruto walked back toward his classmates and stood next to the two sisters and Ino. Not bad, huh? I was close to winning. He grinned at the girls, getting some weird looks in return. You call that close to winning? He kicked your without even trying. Ino answered, glaring at Naruto. Well, either did Naruto hide his power, or he really is bad in close range. Hanabi pondered about what she observed just now. You okay, Naruto-kun? Hinata was worried, but he just smiled back at her and nodded. After a few more spars, was it now Hinata's turn? She was paired against Shikamaru, which both weren't too happy with. Hinata doesn't want to hurt a friend and Shikamaru found it troublesome being paired against a girl. Both stepped forward and Hinata entered her fighting stance, while Shikamaru looked lazily in her direction. Troublesome? Do I really have to fight now? Iruka rolled his eyes and nodded, before giving the sign to start. Hinata was still worried, but charged forward to attack. She knew that her sister was watching and that she should show how she improved so far. However, what then happened was unexpected for every watcher. Shikamaru did a step backward, most likely to avoid Hinata's charge, and tripped over his feet, falling to the ground. Troublesome. Hey, sensei, I can't move my ankle. I'll give up. Hinata stopped mid-charge and looked worried at Shikamaru, who gave her a small smile. Iruka sighed and nodded. Alright. Winner is Hinata. Just Shikamaru. If this was just a ruse to avoid the battle, will this have consequences? Shikamaru nodded and was thankful when his close friend helped him up to escort him to see a nurse. Well, we don't have time left for today, so I'm closing the day. The remaining spars are postponed till tomorrow. You can go home now. Iruka left his new class and thought about the things he saw today. There were clearly some surprises and he was sure that this year's starter class would be an interesting one. Outside the academy. Well, guess this was an interesting first day. See you tomorrow, Hinata-chan, Hanabi-chan. Ino waved her goodbye and headed in the direction of her home, and Naruto left as well, having a grin on his face, leaving the two sisters by themselves. They realized that he wasn't going home yet. Both of them started to walk back to the clan compound after this first day at the academy. Hey, sis. Hanabi started speaking, her voice total sweet, and Hinata started sweating, fearing the worst. I think I told you that I don't like you wearing that jacket. And then did you spoil my fun and talked about our Kekkei Genkei? That wasn't nice at all. Hanabi was smiling at her sister, but Hinata could feel that this was just show. She knew that she will be scolded once they reach their home and are away from prying eyes. Sorry Hanabi, but Iruka-sensei asked me to explain. So I answered. And it seemed like he knew about the Byakugan, so if I hadn't answered would he have simply explained. Hinata looked down at her feet while walking. And it was the first day of academy. I was worried. That's why I took the jacket. Hanabi sighed. We'll talk about that once we are home. She was now smiling honestly. Did you see what I did with that dog boy? Served him right for insulting me. She couldn't help but giggle, and Hinata also started smiling a bit. Yes, all considered was this first day not too bad. They also talked about the other matches, which weren't that interesting at all. It's just too bad that Shikamaru threw your match. I would have loved to see how you would did against somebody other than myself, sis. He gave up. I thought he really hurt his ankle. Hinata looked confused at her sister, a bit worried but also a bit relieved, if Shikamaru really wasn't hurt. Yeah, he sure did. Tripping while backstepping. Not really believable. He is just too lazy to fight if there is no good reason. Plus I don't think he wanted to fight you. Hanabi pondered the situation and nodded. He faked that injury, I'm sure about it.